Good morning, students. Good morning to all. So, last week fully you have studied for your exam. So, I hope you all are written very well of the exam. So, now we will go to the next concept of the banking sectors. So, last week we have studied about the commercial banks or the banking sectors and the functions of the common functions of the commercial banks, right? So today we will study about the role of commercial bank in economic development. Okay, the role of commercial bank in economic development. Okay, in economic development, how the commercial bank will be used or will be helpful to improve the economic development. First is the capital formation. How the commercial banks will helpful to increasing the capital formation. The bank play an important role in capital formation, which is essential for the economic development of a country. How it will be created the capital formation? So the commercial banks only have the rights or have the power to providing the money to the entrepreneurs and the other members as a customer. Okay, but is the situations the entrepreneurs want to borrow the money from any of the banks, so the commercial bank only have to provide. Okay, so if the commercial bank is not existing, so the no entrepreneurs will have the power to creating the capital or the required investment for their company or the business premises. So the mobilize small savings of the people scattered over a wide area through their network of branches all over the country and make it available productive purposes. So it will be collecting the money or deposit from the all peoples, and it will be give the same amount to the entrepreneurs. So in the same time it will be doing the different types of the works. It will be collecting the deposit from the people and it will be providing the loans to the entrepreneurs. Okay, by having the loans or the financial amount provided by the commercial bank, all the entrepreneurs can have the power to conducting the business organizations. So nowadays, bank offers attractive schemes to induce the people to save their money with them and bring them saving mobilized to the organized monetary market. So normally, how can we get the interest to saving our money mean? If we have any of the profit, any of the benefit only, we will save our money. Okay, otherwise the peoples will not get the interest to saving their money. Whenever they want to consume, they will spend it. Okay, but the commercial banks are providing or offering the attractive schemes to induce the people to saving their money. What schemes means? By providing the more rate of interest or more interest rate. Okay, so when the peoples are savings, if they are getting the more interest, all the people also will have the interest to saving their money. Okay, so the commercial banks are offering the many schemes to savings the peoples. Because of that, all the peoples will saving. So the commercial bank will collect all the savings amount and it will be able to provide the money to the entrepreneurs or those who all need with the high interest. So now the two peoples or the two sides also will get the advantages. Those who all saved in the bank, that persons also will get some of the benefit, and those who all borrowed the money from the bank, that persons also can have the power to improve their capital for their organizations. So if the banks do not perform functions, savings either remains idle or used in creating other assets. for example gold, so which are low in scale of planned priorities. Okay, suppose if the commercial banks are not providing the not offering any of the schemes, the people always hold their amount in their hand itself, or the otherwise they will make the investment on the gold. Okay, when they are make the investment of the gold, it will be creating the inflations. Okay, but the amount also will not be easy to other persons. Okay, so if the persons or if the government want to improve the capital formations by the way of the commercial bank only, it's possible. Next, creation of credit. So the banks create credit for the purpose of providing more funds for development projects. How the commercial banks will providing the required fund to the entrepreneurs and the government also by the way of creating the credit. So as a single person want to start at any of the industries, and if he has no money to start any of the industry, the bank will provide the financial facilities or loan facilities. Okay, so when they are creating the credit, it will be increase the volume of amount in our economy. So the credit creation leads to increase the production, employment, sales and prices, and thereby they bring about the fastest economic development. So whenever the commercial banks are providing the financial aid or the financial facilities to the entrepreneurs, by having this required amount, they can start at any of the industries. If they are started any of the industries, what will happen? So some of the unemployment persons will get the employees. So because of that, they will earning more money. Their purchasing power will be increased. Okay, and the supply also will be increased because the consumption level will be increased. Okay, so creation of credit only will create the more employment opportunity and increasing the purchasing power of the people and the demand of the commodity. Okay, if the demand of the commodity is increased throughout the world, so automatically the industrial sector will be increased. Not only the industrial sector, so the agricultural sector also will be increased because the demand for the agricultural goods and the industrial goods also will be increased. Okay, in this way, so the economic will be induced by the creation of credit. If there is no credit facilities provided by the commercial bank, no entrepreneur or the no customers will improve their lifetime. Okay, so everybody, some of the peoples will borrow the money from the local money lenders, and he will fix the high rate of interest, so the persons will fall into the poverty. And the another side, so the entrepreneurs will never start any of the industries, and the inflation deflation situations will be arrested in our economy. Okay, so by the way of creating the credit facilities only, so the economic will be moved very fast. Next, channelizing the funds towards productive investment. So the productive investment, for the purpose of productive investment, the funds will be channelized. The banks invest the savings mobilized the productive purposes. The capital formation is not the only function of commercial banks. So pooled savings should be allocated to various sectors of the economy with a view to increase the productivity. So on the basis of the guidelines of Reserve Bank of India, the commercial bank will provide more amount to increasing the economic development. For example, in our nations, some of the particular industries only to create the more GDP mean, the commercial bank will provide the more amount to that particular industries only. So when the commercial banks are providing the more funds to the particular or needed industries, so automatically our GDP will be increased. Okay, so all the funds will move to the productive investment. So because of that, automatically whatever profit, whatever benefit will arise in our nations, everything will be come automatically. Next, encouraging right type of industries. So the commercial banks also encouraging the right type of industries. So the many banks help in the development of the right type of industries by extending loan to right type of persons. If any of the industries moving towards the develop, so the commercial bank also provide more funds. And if a right persons want to start any of the right industries which has the very much needed in the societies nowadays, so the commercial bank will providing more funds. So in this way, they help not only for the industrialization of the country, but also for the economic development of the country. Because sometimes those agriculturist people, the farmers also will get the more funds to cultivate any of the crops, maybe the money crops. So the tobacco or the cotton or some of the other type of the industries also. So they grant loans and advances to manufacturers whose products are in great demand. Now, the demand for the comfortable goods and the luxury goods are very high. Okay, so those manufacturers want to start at the new industries to producing the car or bike or any of the automobiles. So the commercial bank will providing more funds to start at that. Okay, when the commercial bank providing more funds, so they will create the more demand for that commodity. Then automatically the people also will get the more employees and he will get the consumption power, the purchasing power. Okay, so automatically the demand for the commodities will be increased because of that. So the purchasing power of the people and the living standard of the people of one nation also will be increased. So the manufacturers in turn increase their products by introducing a new methods of production and assist in raising the national income of the country. So some of the persons also having the specialized talent to bring in of the innovations of the already existing in the commodity. For example, the arrival of the Android mobile is one of the best demanded in the market. A great demanded for the Android mobile is there in this market. Okay, but if there was no credit facilities for the manufacturer of producing the Android mobile, so it was not possible. Sometimes subprime lending is also closed. That is how there was economic crisis in the year 2007 and 8 in the US. Sometimes so it will be creating some of the problems also. Next, bank monetized debt. Banks provide or creating the monetized debt. So the commercial banks transform the loan to be rabbit after a certain period into cash, which can be immediately used for business activities. Okay, normally whenever the commercial banks are asked to repay the money from the holders, so it will be turned in the cash and immediately the money is used to the business activities. The manufacturers and wholesale traders cannot increase their sales without selling goods on the credit basis. So if the credit facility is provided by the wholesalers and the producers only, it is possible. Okay, if the wholesalers and the manufacturer want to providing and selling the goods for the credit basis, the commercial banks also must be providing the credit facilities to the manufacturer and the wholesalers. Then only so some of the circulation of money will come to effect. But in the same time, the credit sales may lead to locking up of the capital. Okay, normally if all the provides, all the commodities is going to in the name of credit only, so the capital amount will be locked. So after the manufacturer will not able to make the investment on the continue productivity. As banks are lending money by discounting bills of exchange, business concerns are able to carry out the economic activities without any interruptions. Okay, so the banks only will be doing all the activities to creating the debt by the entrepreneurs. Next, finance to government. The government is acting as the promoter of industries in underdeveloped countries for which finance is needed for it. So the banks provide long-term credit to government by investing their funds in government securities and short-term finance by purchasing treasury bills. So in here, the commercial banks only providing the required amount to the government also. And the commercial banks also providing one of the chance to increasing the capital amount of the government by the way of selling and purchasing the shares and debentures. Next, employment generation. So after the nationalization of big banks, banking industries has grown to a great extent. So banks branches are opened frequently, which leads to the creation of new employment opportunities. So here we can consider the different ways. So when the commercial banks providing many financial facilities, many industries will be generated. Whenever the number of industrial is going to increase, on the way of that, so more unemployed persons will get the employment opportunity. And after the nationalization of big banks, so banking industries also has grown to a great extent. So in this banking sector also required many employer and the skillful persons. Okay, so because of that, so many of the educational persons are getting the employment opportunities. Okay, so in these two ways, the employment opportunity will be created by the banks only. Next, banks promote entrepreneurship. In recent days, banks have assumed the role of developing entrepreneurship, particularly in developing countries like India, by inducing new entrepreneurs to take up the well-formulated projects and provisions of counseling services like technical and managerial guidance. So even if there is more financial assets and shortage of the skillful entrepreneurship, so the industrializations or industrial sector will not be improved. So the entrepreneurs must be have the power to make the more investment. Then only their skill or their talent will come to effect. Okay, but those entrepreneurs will have the more talented and skillful persons by having the additionally loan provided by the commercial bank. He will become as a good entrepreneur. So the banks provide 100% credit for worthwhile projects, which is also technically feasible and economically viable. Thus, commercial banks help for the development of entrepreneurship in the country is very vital role. So the role of the commercial bank is capital formations. Okay, by providing the financial facilities, so all the persons are having the power and the rights to create and having the investment. Next, creation of credit. Okay, the credit amount will be created by the commercial bank. Next, the funds will be channelized to the productive investment. Next, encouraging the right type of industries. What are the industries are having the good future and the good high demand added commodities, so it will be encouraged. Next, bank monetized debt. Next, the finance to the government. The commercial bank also providing the finance to the government. Next, employment creations. Okay, by providing the more financial facilities to the entrepreneurship, so it will be creating the employment opportunity. Next, banks promote entrepreneurship. Okay, so whatever chance we have to start at the industries, it will be useful to start. So the 8 roles are there. Next, non-banking financial institutions. A non-banking financial institutions is a financial institutions that does not have a full banking license or it is not supervised by the central bank. If any of the banking financial institutions are underlined not by the central bank or not supervised by the central bank, it is considered as a non-banking financial institutions. It does not have a full banking license also. For example, stock exchange or other financial institutions like LIC and the unit mutual funds and the GIC, and in our nations more financial institutions are there. Next is central bank. A central bank or the reserve bank. Normally all the nations must be have one of the central bank. So in our nations also one of the central banks are there. So our central bank name is the Reserve Bank of India. So the central bank or the reserve bank or the monetary authority is an institution that manages a state's currency, money supply and interest rate. So the money supply and the currency or the state's currency and the interest rates, everything will be determined by the Reserve Bank of India only. So already we have studied the money supply. The money supply will be, the amount of the money supply will be determined by the Reserve Bank of India, and the rate of interest for all the properties and the reserve ratio held by the commercial bank is also determined by the Reserve Bank of India only. So the Reserve Bank of India also have many functions. So now we have studied the functions of the central bank. First one is monetary authority. So monetary authority, the Reserve Bank of India controls the supply of money in the economy to stabilize exchange rate, maintain healthy balance of payment, attain financial stability, and control inflation and strengthen banking system. So if the banking organization want to stabilize the exchange rate, so all the bank must be depending upon the Reserve Bank of India only. So by having the stabilized exchange rate only, our nation can be able to increase in the international trade. So and maintain the healthy balance of payment. Healthy balance of payment means already we have studied in our 11th standard itself. So the balance of payment must be as equal. Or the balance of trade also must be in equal. Then only our payment will be as equalization. And control inflation also is underlaid by the Reserve Bank of India. So what are the authorities are there in this money? So it will be controlled by the Reserve Bank of India only. Next, the issuer of currency. We know who will issue the currency mean the Reserve Bank of India only. So the objective is to maintain the currency and the credit system of the country. So the Reserve Bank of India have the one of the important objectives, that is to maintain the currency and the credit system of the country. So if the supply of money is in the equal or the reasonable rate only, it will be used to improving the economic development. And the credit system, if our nations are being with more credit, so it will be meet the inflation situations, and we must depending upon the all other nations for their basic necessity of life also. So it is the sole authority to issue the currency. So whenever we will have in the need of more money, so it will be increasing the money supply in some other things also. It also takes action to control the circulation of fake currency. So in our nations, the fake currencies and the black money also will spread very effectively. Okay. So the Reserve Bank of India only has the control to circulation the fake currency. Okay, students, I think it's enough. So we will study the remaining portions on tomorrow. If you have any doubt, please ask me. Thank you.